All right, Leo, interesting, very interesting. And it may be through a course of study that you encounter a soulmate, or a soulmate may kind of push you to the right course of study here. I don't get to see this one often. So from Lay Vampire Knowledge, Study, Learning, and Education, and then from Wisdom of the Oracle, Soulmates. Now, knowledge is about learning. It is about a course of study, but it also talks about, like I said, being divinely guided to find the right course of study, but it's going to be through somebody very specific. Now, soulmate, it says you are meant to evolve and transform with the companionship of others. Certain people enter into your life in order to take you to the next level of healing, consciousness, and authenticity. It is always a reciprocal experience, although the results for each of you will vary. You will know these people by the strong pull drawing you toward them, and sometimes by a strong aversion to them initially too. It says soulmates can be friends for life or remain in your life for only a short time. No matter what, you will be changed in ways that you can't possibly fathom now. Pay attention to these people today. They are your greatest gift. And if that's the case, they're going to push you to a course of knowledge that, you may not have considered. All right, Leo. Here's your overall strength. And there you are. So strength, needing to find strength and courage to face something here. Tapping into yourself. And by the way, happy birthday to you guys. I forgot to mention that. It's funny because I talk about feeling like I'm a wannabe Taurus, because Taurus is my rising, but I don't have any planets there. I think I have some asteroids there, but my North Node is in Leo. So really, I'm trying to be like you. But beautiful, right? So no matter what is going on right now, it's really about your ability to find the strength and the courage to face whatever is happening. In the past, okay, so the Five of Pentacles. So in the past, feeling, and this can be financial, feeling like you've been depleted, lacking in the material. Some of you may have felt like you were pushed on the outside. You may have rejected a situation, but we'll see. With that being the past and looking at strength, it may be that you're being brought back in to a situation here, or being brought back in by a person because of soulmate being there, but we'll see here. Oh, okay. All right. So in the present moment, the Queen of Swords, and you guys know how I feel about court cards, right? Male, female, doesn't matter to me. Air sign, don't care. But I feel like, when I look at kings and queens, the queens will represent to me more of what is happening internally. But like I always say, it may be because of a person surrounding you. The Queen of Swords, right? Now, some of you, you could be dealing with the Queen of Swords, but I think that you're acting this way toward a person. Now, what I find interesting with this one is she's very much like, okay, I'll go with you, but I'm taking my sword with me. And it may be that some of you aren't really ready to open up to someone who may be, wanting to give you some assistance here because they may have, failed you in the past, looking at the Five of Pentacles, but we'll see. Oh yeah, future conditions, the Four of Pentacles, and I don't necessarily feel like this really has to do with money. Money may be involved. But, I look at the Four of Pentacles and I think, this is somebody who's not wanting to give up anything because they're needing to maintain the level of stability that they have found or have worked really hard for. And for you, it's, with strength being there, needing to maintain the stability that you have had to create for yourself, even though you have experienced a possible rejection in the past by a person, which would explain why, you are internalizing the energy of the Queen of Swords right now. To me, it makes sense, but right, like nothing changes if you're not willing to let go of the past, let go of, what you feel like may have been taken from you, which is possible here. Your best path to follow, the Seven of Pentacles. Now, I don't necessarily see this as a bad thing. And what I find interesting with this deck in the description for the Seven of Pentacles for the Steampunk Tarot, they pose the question, how is reality stacking up to your expectation? Right? So if you're needing to reevaluate, what you actually have to show versus what you expected here, and again, with judgment, right? Like needing to reevaluate the way that you're looking at, a person and being involved with them, especially if they've left you like out before. Maybe there is potential for new growth here, but really it's going to be up to you on whether or not you want to pull on that inner strength in your inner reserve to do this. Maybe it's just too much. Like I get the feeling with the Four of Pentacles that, you've had to do things on your own. And what you have gained here is not something that you're going to be easily willing to give up. But I look at the Seven of Pentacles and think as your advice that there may be some potential, if different action is taken to start to see the growth that you want to see. Just take a look at it, right? Maybe, just maybe, this situation may work out. Now, for some of you, yeah, it is going to have to be about money. It's going to have to do with work. Some of you, with the Five of Pentacles may have been let go of or left a job. You may have had to deal with a financial blow. Someone may not be happy with that. And now you're just trying to find the strength to maintain. You may be looking back at what you did and reevaluating it. It just depends on how it is resonating for you in your situation. Again, right? Like general readings, there are different ways to interpret it, but you will know if it is your situation. But we'll see here. Oh my God, what is happening? The Six of Pentacles in your environment with the Queen of Swords. And again, right? Like, all right, if you're going to give me assistance, I'm willing to kind of like meet you halfway here, but you still got that sword. Like, I'm going to kick your ass if you put me through the Five of Pentacles again. The Six of Pentacles, it could very much be here that you have somebody who is wanting to give you something that you may feel like you are lacking or may have been taken from you in the past, right? This could have to do with money. It could have to do with work, or this could be about a relationship. It just depends here. But the feeling that I get around this is the way that, things worked out in the past doesn't necessarily mean that that has to be the case in the future, especially if you're being open to accepting assistance from another person, right? But it's up to you. Like, it's up to you. You have to find the strength and the courage to do what you feel like is right for you. Man. But I'm still looking back at that Four of Pentacles and going, what's up? Like, what's up? Well, what is it that you're not ready to, let go of? I don't, and especially if this is about, a person who has, taken something from you. It's not like a Seven of Swords type of feel, but, with the Five of Pentacles, you feel lack. And it may be because a person rejected you. But, there's something about this where it's like, it's not that easy to just, give into this person. Like, you're still willing and accepting. But I think that some of you may be a little bit worried about, what's going to happen in the future. So it's like, it's better to just, maintain things the way they are rather than taking any kind of risks or making any huge changes, right? Man, oh man. Your hopes and your fears, the Queen of Pentacles, you can do this shit on your own. You don't need them. I mean, with the Queen of Swords being there, look at it, Hopes and fears, insecurities. When you're looking at the Queen of Pentacles in terms of a fear, it's fearing that this situation is not going to be secure for you. Do you have the inner strength to create your own security and stability, or do you actually need assistance from this person? Especially if they've let you down in the past. I mean, that's basically what that is. And we're not questioning dependability here. It would have been different if it was the King of Pentacles, but this is more about how you're internalizing things right now. But I do think it's because of a person that may be wanting to give you some assistance with the Six of Pentacles. But then the question becomes is, if they haven't met you halfway before, what makes you think that they're going to do it now? And this could be a difficult soulmate situation where you got somebody coming through that's like, hey, I'm sorry I've let you down before. I don't necessarily see an apology here, but I see you being more like, it's like you're being diplomatic about the situation, but at the same time, I will hand you your ass if you do anything wrong here, you have to meet me halfway. You're going to have to show me something if you want me to open up. But can you trust yourself, though? You know, going back to the Queen of Pentacles, right? Especially if there's a lack of security involving another person. Oh, and then coming out the Four of Cups. You know, what I feel like is happening here, you know, forget about work and money in that situation, because I'm not seeing anything that would suggest that you're going to continue to see difficulties in terms of work or money. If you've had difficulties in the past, I think you're okay. I think that you'll be able to maintain with the Four of Pentacles, but I certainly don't feel like you're going to be happy with what is being offered to you, whether this is coming from a person or not. Now, this is, wow, you know, I almost feel like, and that may be why Judgment fell out, this is a little bit biased, okay? And this is because of what somebody has done in the past. With the Four of Cups coming out, you're like, you know, I don't know, right? It's just not good enough. You know, you're not seeing the offer that you want. You're not seeing that Ace of Cups. And it may be because you're not willing to change anything. But then again, I also question on whether or not, you know, if this person is giving you assistance, if they're actually doing it in a way that is going to correct the past. And then the Nine of Cups. You know, it's not enough. It's not enough to bring back that kind of happiness, that kind of fulfillment here. And I don't think that it has to do with overindulgence or anything like that. The Queen of Cups, what I find interesting here is that this person, whoever it is that we're talking about, because all I see is their hand coming through and what they may have done to you in the past, okay? And I see all of this internalization of how you're feeling about things. I think that with the Queen of Cups looking at the Five of Pentacles, you may have been taken advantage of. I don't think that this has to do with emotional manipulation, because again, you are the Four of Cups coming out of this. Okay? I think that some of you may have been acting on emotions, but those emotions, somebody was playing on them. You understand what I'm saying? With the Five of Pentacles being there, because you feel absolutely depleted emotionally. And I think that some of you may have been a little bit too giving to someone who didn't reciprocate that. The Three of Wands. If this person is coming through now and they're wanting to meet you halfway or give their part or give you, you know, what they should have gave you in the past, with the Three of Wands, you're still looking and waiting to see how this is going to work out. You know, and again, it's not like the Nine of Wands. It's not like you're purposely keeping the wall up and not wanting to let this in. I think that, you know, there is definitely a defensive type of nature with the Queen of Swords. But I also feel like you're being very honest and direct with this person. You know, she doesn't suffer fools, right? And if they're wanting to give you something where they wouldn't before, then for you, you know, you may still be waiting on this, waiting to see it, waiting to see what's going to happen, you know. But with the Nine of Cups coming out, but looking at it with the way it lines up, right? And again, it's up to you with strength. Can you find the strength here to kind of let go of what has happened in the past? They may be trying, but you may be a little bit biased here and, you know, are not able to let go of, you know, what has happened in the past. It's not good enough. You have to give me more. You have to give me more than this, right? In order for me to feel like I am abundant again. You need to replenish my emotions. You need to give back to me what you have taken from me on an emotional level, right? But I think that with the Nine of Cups and looking at the Four of Cups, this is an unrealistic expectation when it comes to this person. But is that because of the way that you're seeing it, though? You know, and I'm not telling you that you need to give somebody a chance, especially if, you know, they've done that to you, right? But at the same time, you know, be willing to kind of see what happens. Like, I understand wanting to maintain, you know, what you have had to do for yourself to rebuild what has been taken from you. But, you know, don't make decisions based on, you know, lack of security or feeling insecure or still carrying insecurities around because of this, if that makes sense. Because I'm still looking at the Seven of Pentacles and going, yeah, you know, kind of need to look at it a little bit, you know, and make sure that your expectations can actually measure up to reality, right? Damn, man. But, you know, this may be a soulmate situation, which is possible. Looking back at the oracle cards, right? What knowledge are you gaining from this person? And inner power. And your strength is your inner power, right? But the situation may have caused you to go through a transformation. Now, it could be, though, with assurance. I always laugh when I see assurance when we're talking about, you know, dealing with another person, right? Because it's like, damn it, I need to make sure. I need some assurance. I need to make sure that everything's going to be okay. But assurance is saying that the universe is giving you that assurance. That may cause a transformation in the situation in yourself where you can tap into your inner power. And your inner power is your strength, right? You know, don't say yes to something that's not good enough, though, either. Don't fucking settle on anything, but make sure that your expectations are realistic. You know, especially if somebody is trying to give back to you what they took. You know, so I understand the Queen of Swords. Like, you know, you should be doing this. And then navigating by the stars, follow your bliss. Yeah, do what makes you happy, right? But be willing to expand your horizons, you know? Don't look at things from a biased perspective, which I do think some of you might be doing. But it's not bad, Leo, right? Navigating by the stars. You know, that's one of the things that is talked about a lot. In order to experience happiness, you need to follow your own bliss, right? Don't ever put your happiness in the hands of others, because they will always fail to create it. You know, but don't be afraid to expand your horizons when it comes to, you know, dealing with people who may have depleted you in the past, right? But I don't think it's bad, Leo. I think that, you know, maybe the oracle cards are true here for some of you, that this may be a very difficult soulmate situation. But, you know, there's a reason why you're needing to pay attention to this person right now. They're going to set you on a course that you may not understand right now. But I do think that it's going to push you into a place where you're going to feel more secure and a little bit better about your own ability to create that for yourself, right? But again, be unbiased here.